content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you. What's good, y'all? I'm the G with a PhD, man, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. I'm doing this kind of impromptu. I ain't really planning it, I said, I'm about to go ahead and get at it, though. You know what I'm saying? I may as well go ahead and do it. So that's what I'm doing. Before I get started, though, what I would like to do is give a shout out to all the members of the Green Gorilla channel, as I always do. So let's start that process, man, and let's get that out of the way so I can get to the business of where I came, man. So I want to give a shout out to Sandra Jean 955, Timothy Blewett, The Final Watcher, Brotherly Love 215, Charles Gilmore III, Diego Harry, Patricia Colley, 7Q Pitt, Kwaku Asasi, Super Tech, and Liz Terrell. Shouts out to y'all, man. Rogish the Billmonger, Michael Ross, Gregory Oliver, Darkside Misanthrope, Greg, Rais Muajid, Dornell Smith, Antonio Feria, Barry Little, Alan Wiley, Mr. Valentino, and Jason Hills. Shout out to y'all, man. Black Men Being Brutally Honest, 77 Base X, Craig, Omni Americana, Cameron 87, Deshaun Nolly, Brian Peaks, Nelso, Apex Prowler, Kareen Henry, Doc LaRock, and Julius Ferguson. Shout out to y'all, man. B. Hillfire, J. Charles, Mark Holt, Lee Ways, Jeffrey Speed, The Face, Mark Swift, Show Me, Black Dog, Odd Collar, Deanne, and Donald Watts. Shouts out to y'all, man. Shout out to Cozy Corner, hiphop.catv, Coach DC, The Remedy, Kashif Caldwell, Ominous Black, I Am Black Man, Nichita, True King 337, Mr. Blue Collar, Barnolis, and Kyle J. Sura. Shouts out to y'all, man. Shout out to I'm Just Jules, Ab Media 83, Brian McMurray, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Artisan MC, Mr. Heat, Afro Analyst, Issa Abdul Zahir, Sir Anthony, and MLR. Shouts out to y'all, man. Shouts out to Charles Rogers, Universal 178, Black Swerve 404, Rashid Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C-Truth the Revelator, Gold Professor, Arthur Unknown, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Kalan Chakala, and Ricky Dawson. Shout out to Cedric Bowman, True 7360, BK Born Shaheed, James Washington, Hostile Adep, Seven Coast Dojo, W Pure 1, BGS Ibmore, Marvin Battle Jr., and I can't forget my brother in Heaven Force Windu. Shout out to y'all, man. On the Patreon side, I want to give a shout out to Rye, Yan, Darnell Smith, Chris York, Excalibur, Jason Warren, Soul Pen, Anu219, Pursuer Prisoner, Taz, Kwaku217, Dragon 59, Supreme Ibmore, Adrian Hicks, Jay Bailey, Mr. Michi, Mo Mal, and the Sangwa. Shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate all y'all do, man, and helping me to get things going and keeping them up over here on the Green Gorilla channel, man. So y'all deserve a round of applause, man. Thank you so much for that. Y'all deserve a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And if you're wondering about how you can also become a member of the Green Gorilla channel, well, here's how you do it. What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. The place where black men can express themselves freely. Straight up, no chaser. Today I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless. So we back, man. You know, I'm GG. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up with no chasers, man. This is impromptu. I ain't expect for a lot of people to come here, but what I did want to do is, you know, give my black male synopsis for Saturday, man. You know, I got some things mulling through my mind, and I just wanted to read something to you. It's a scholarly article, man. And it's some work from Tommy Curry, man. It's some dope work, and I think you need to be made aware of it, man. So if it's something that you're interested in hearing, man, stick around, leave a 1 in the chat, and I'll get to that, man. But I think you ought to be aware of it and, you know, understand it and comprehend it. And so I'll break it down to the best of my ability. And if you're down with that, man, let me know by putting the 1 in the chat, man. I don't expect for a lot of people to come today, man. This is impromptu. And I'm just going to get to what I can get to and how I can get to it, man. This is, you know, again, just straight up impromptu. Thank you so much, Mr. Tolbert, man. I appreciate your contribution, sir. Thank you so much for that, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, sir. So at any rate, man, let me just get right to this, man. Yeah, let me get right to this, man. Let me get right to it, bro. And I assume that, you know, you can see the screen and that, you know, you could basically follow me along with what I'm about to do here, okay? I assume that you can see that. And if you can't, you know, you're going to have to let me know that you can't see it in some shape, form, or fashion or the other. But I assume that you can see that, right? Now, I mean, ultimately what, you know, Tommy Curry is trying to do here is trying to demonstrate. I'm only going to read one section. This is from a work that he's doing that has yet to be published. It's already been slated to be published. But, I mean, you know, the point is, man, I think you would benefit from understanding this and knowing this so you can have another tool in your toolbox. You know, another conceptual tool in your toolkit. Because you can never have enough of those, especially being a black man in this culture and in this society, man, trying to navigate these waters. People are coming at you sideways with a whole bunch of verbiage and language. So it's good for you to know the origins of ideas and concepts because they're just thrown around, and most of the people who use them don't know the origin of them either. They just riding the wave of contemporary feminist thinking and using the tools as a weapon, but they don't even know what kind of weapons they're holding and how to wield them and how to, you know, slice and dice with those weapons. But, you know, I don't want to get too far off into why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to go ahead and, for the most part, just jump off and get into it, you know? And, you know, I'm just waiting. Okay. So anyway, man, we're going to talk about patriarchy and the origin of the concept of gender itself. Because we talk about race, class, gender all the time, man. But, you know, nobody really understands where this gender thing came from. So, you know, it's time to get it straight, man. So basically what he says is, bro, is that patriarchy was always thought of as a racialized system of domination. Like from the jump. So if you want to talk about patriarchy and what it is, it's always been from the outset perceived as something that was a system of domination related to race. Not just something that occurred between men and women, but something that had a relation to race. Okay, so white women, he argues, and this is Curry now, white women use the position of the black race, in particular, the stigmas defining the black man's place, as the basis of their formulation of the woman. Now that's some mind-blowing shit right there, bro. I mean, that'll blow your fucking brain box, man. If it ain't blew your brain box, it should, bro. He firing shots right there, man. He just fired some shots right there. Just in case you didn't know. So ultimately what he's arguing is that the very notion of womanhood that these women in feminist theory are utilizing is predicated upon the plight of black men and the stigmas defining and surrounding the plight of black men. That's deep, man. That's deep, man. So he says this analysis of the patriarchy or of patriarchy in the U.S. is often traced to Alva Myrdal's A Parallel to the Negro Problem, which is a work that she wrote, where she suggested that women and children were suppressed classes. So he's giving you a name. He's saying, okay, if you want to understand the origin of the term gender, well, typically, or an analysis of patriarchy and how this whole gender concept begins to develop, well, you want to go through Alva Myrdal, who's a sociologist. You know, I got the little graphic running underneath. You got the little graphic running underneath, you know? So their problem they see is a parallel. It's just like, it's similar to, it could be, you know, equivocated with the Negro problem. So the woman problem is just like the Negro problem. And she writes, this is Alva Myrdal. In every society, there are at least two groups of people besides the Negroes, who are characterized by high social visibility, expressed in physical appearance, dress, and patterns of behavior, and who have been suppressed. We refer to women and children. Now, what this woman Myrdal is suggesting is that the commonality of blacks, white women, and children share originates from their subjugation by white male paternalism. So she wants to include herself and her kind into the bag of, and children also, into the bag of groups of persons who are subjected to the evil and the ominous white male paternalism. And she goes on to say, you know, in the earlier common law, women and children were placed under the jurisdiction of the paternal power. When a legal status had to be found for the imported Negro servants in the 17th century, the nearest and most natural analogy was the status of women and children. So similar to the observations of the historian Willie Lee Rose, who explains that in the 19th century, the phrase domestic institution came to mean slavery idealized. Slavery translated into a fundamental and idealized Victorian institution, the family. So Myrdal argued that the ninth commandment, linking together women, servants, mules, and other property, could be invoked, as well as a great number of other passages of Holy Scripture. We do not intend to follow here the interesting developments of the institution of slavery in America through the centuries, but merely wish to point out the paternalistic idea which held the slave to be a sort of family member, and in some way, in spite of all differences, placed him beside women and children under the power of the pater familias, the father, familias. Okay? Now, previous research has focused primarily on Myrdal's taking up of the white woman's relationship to the slave as the basis of gender and serving as a possible basis of Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex. Unlike current configurations of gender, And he's saying, and like how we speak of it now, the introduction of the term began with the ownership of the woman, the Negro, and child by the white male patriarch. So the assumption was that the language of rights need not apply to these entities because the patriarch took care of the woman, the children, and the Negroes for their own benefit. So basically, Murdahl believed that the woman and the Negro were disadvantaged in a similar way within, this paternal structure of the white family, or as Curry puts it, within or under the paternal force of the white family. Murdahl believed that white men developed a notion of female inferiority along the same lines as that of black inferiority. And Murdahl explains, the arguments, when arguments were used, have been about the same. Smaller brains, scarcity of geniuses, and so on. The study of women's intelligence and personality has had broadly the same history as the one we record for Negroes. Wow. Now this is gonna get, this is crazy though. So you're seeing right now how she's making the case that white women are minorities just like Negroes, and that they're treated in the same manner as Negroes. And this is Murdahl, right? So anyway, as in the case of the Negro, women themselves have often been thought or have been brought to believe in their inferiority of endowment. As the Negro was awarded his place in society, so there was a woman's place. In both cases, the rationalization was strongly believed that men, in confining them to this place, did not act against the true interest of the subordinate groups. So ultimately, this is Curry going on again. Murdahl maintained in a book called Nation and Family, that the new economic opportunities of the woman placed her at odds with the paternalistic forces of the home. Like the Negro, she cannot control her own societal and economic destiny under the rule of the white male within the home. In this sense, Murdahl saw parity between the woman and the Negro and their place. Both groups were thought to be victims of paternalism because neither could live in an increasingly industrialized Western society. So, this is the conventional wisdom on this, right? Just like the Negro, the white woman couldn't control her own destiny. She was under the lock and key in the thumb of her white husband or a white daddy or whatever the case may be, right? And so Curry goes on to say, while this argument has been presumed correct within academic disciplines because many researchers have asserted that race and gender are co-equal systems of oppression, race and gender, he says, function quite differently throughout history. And this is what he's going to do. He's going to object to this presentation that white women have the same position or place in the familial structure as the Negro, and in particular, black men. So what Alva Murdahl, this is Curry speaking, suggested white women who own slaves, which they did. We know that white women own slaves, man. Let's just cut the malarkey, bro. She's suggesting that white women who own slaves, who claim patriarchy was the invention of their wombs, and who argued that God's providence was made manifest by their wombs, were disadvantaged by this patriarchy in the middle of the 20th century because they want now opportunities for wages and independence. And that they had been thwarted by this paternalistic system designed to protect them from external racial threats. So he's saying, come on now, this is Curry talking, saying, come on now, you mean you own slaves, you claim that you were, the mothers of patriarchy, that it couldn't exist without you But now you want to flip the script and act like you don't want to have anything to do with it. It's just evil and ominous now that it's time to, look at the opportunities in the marketplace. How you gonna switch it up like that? That's what Curry is saying. How you gonna just switch it all up like that? So he says, unlike the black race, the white woman was thought to be lesser than white men, but not an animal outside of the moral community of white civilization. Now, Gunnar Myrdal, who is the husband of Alva, explains this very distinction in another book called An American Dilemma. He explains, insofar as the Negro can be placed lower in the biological order than the white man and nearer to the animals, he is also, to an extent, kept outside the white man's social and moral order. So unlike the white woman, the Negro was of a different kind. He had no rights to be claimed based on his humanity and would always be the type of being that prayed for the favor of the white race. So Gunnar Myrdal anticipates his wife's analysis of the Negro being similar to women and children in the appendices to An American Dilemma, but makes a key distinction. The analogy between the Negro and women and children was apt insofar as these groups did not enjoy equal rights, were thought biologically inferior and less mature, and had to rely for their protection upon kindly considerations from their superiors. But the Negro differed from the paternalistic position of the woman and child precisely because this race could be classified as nearer the animal, but still a man, although not a mature man. Gunnar Myrdal explains that unlike children, he could be assumed never to grow to full maturity. Not only the individual Negro, but the Negro race as a whole can be said to be undeveloped and childish. The whole damn race. The whole race, man. And let me turn this music off, man. Let me turn it off, man. Just so you can get this, man. You are close to an animal. You are always going to be childlike. And not just as a man, but as a race, your entire race. So one of the things that Curry is trying to draw out here is that gender has always been, since its inception, not just applied to individuals within the context of races, but amongst races themselves. That's something that we always miss when we talk about gender today. The black race has been thought of or characterized as a womanly race. Y'all a bunch of women. Your whole race is. That brings a new light, man. You calling us bitches, right? That's basically what they doing. They calling us bitches, bruh. Calling us pussies, man. How you like that? How you feel about that? Anyway, the black race as underdeveloped and childish was not a mark of social inferiority in relation to the white man. It was a register of inferiority that defined their subordination to all white people. This argument justified the racial caste system of the South and the race relations between white and blacks in the North. The paternalism of white men was specific. While there may have been an incentive for the white man and family to care for the black slave, the black man and the black race was thought to represent was to be ruled through violence and intimidation. This was not to be the case of the white woman, who the white man saw as integral to the caste superiority of the white race. So there's your difference right there. You know, women, especially white women now who are feminists, man, they're playing this game and acting as if white men just all they did was intimidate and beat up and extort and subject white women to violence. That's not what white men did to white women, man. They did that to black folks. And white women did it also to black folks. That's why I got the pictures of the lynchings there. And you can see the white women in attendance. You see it. The innocent Beckys were there during the lynchings. They were there when they were spitting on children trying to desegregate school systems in the South. Let's keep it 100. All the lying needs to just stop. We need to cut out the lying, man. And keep it funky and just keep it real, man. So the white woman is not beaten to a pulp, shackled, placed in chains, hung from trees, made to go out and work on a plantation. That's not what occurred to white women. So don't try to equate sexism with racism and slavery. The two are not the same qualitatively. That's what Curry is trying to get at here. But a lot of y'all don't want to get down with that. A lot of y'all don't want to agree with that. You want to berate what I'm saying here, but I dare you to step forward and to disprove the reality of historical analysis related to this subject. I dare you. Anyway, the dependency the modern gender construct has on race is even more starkly communicated by Helen Hacker's essay, Women as a Minority Group, written in 1955. Hacker reported that up to that point, the sociological literature had no account of women as a minority group. None. Now, first of all, I was about to say black women. White women are not a minority in number. We know that for a fact. They're not a minority in number. They comprise 31% of the United States population. Men, I guarantee you they outnumber men. White men. I guarantee you that they outnumber them by at least 500,000 to 600,000 or more. But before, 55, there was no sociological literature that gave account to women as a minority group. While the American Journal of Sociology did, in fact, reference racial and ethnic groups, there was no reference to women. And she says, look at the indexes there. You'll see Jews, morale, Negro, races and nationalities, religious groups, sex, and so on and so forth. There is no cross-reference to women. But there is a reference to women under the heading family. You'll find them in the family category. You don't find black people or the Negro or the slave in the family category. But anyway, man, Hacker explains that the purpose of this paper is to apply to women some portion of that body of sociological theory and methodology customarily used for investigating such minority groups as Negroes, Jews, immigrants, etc. So Helen Hacker is partially responsible for women being categorized as a minority group, white women. So Hacker explains that the purpose, was to basically use sociological theory that applied to Jews and Negroes who had gone through the Holocaust and through the transatlantic slave trade and apply what happened to those groups of persons to herself and people like her who were part of the Holocaust and part of transatlantic slavery as full and willing participants. But you're going to weasel your way out of it. At first, you were part of the divine providential plan and gave birth to patriarchy and were part of the superior race. But now, it's time to flip the script and change and pump the brakes on it and to recategorize and reformulate yourself in a new light. How's that for reinventing yourself? Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Becky. Damn. So basically he goes on to say, Curry does this, it's important to note that Hacker's project was not just descriptive, but socially prescriptive. So it wasn't just describing something, it was prescription as well as description. So Hacker utilizes, and Curry loves to dig in books and find out the origins of concepts and how they begin to change and morph from one framing to another. So Hacker utilizes Lewis Worth's definition of a minority group as any group of people who, because of their physical or cultural characteristics, are singled out from the others in the society in which they live for differential and unequal treatment, and who therefore regard themselves as objects of collective discrimination. The white woman, however, did not feel this affinity towards group membership based on gender as she did for race. Unlike the Negro and the Jew, the woman does not feel that she was the object of great societal discrimination due to her group membership in the 1950s, according to Hacker. This feeling would have to develop beyond the conflicts that began in the transition from a pre-industrial paternalistic society to an industrial society where white women could earn wages and gain independence from the paternalistic order of the white nuclear family. Importantly, Hacker distinguishes the conditions of races from that of sexes by the extent to which the Negro is burdened by the Southern question and the Jew the violence of the Holocaust. Hacker then returns to the original question of the aptness of the designation of minority group for women. She concludes that while it has been indicated that women fail to present in full force the subjective attributes commonly associated with minority groups, that is, they lack a sense of group identification and do not harbor feelings of being treated unfairly because of their sex membership, they can be understood as enduring the same social stigmas as the Negro due to the expectations of staying in one's place. So, in other words, they know that, they basically are calling for this solidarity and this togetherness related to place, not necessarily because of, being exposed to violence, terror, death, but they sure will take the food out of your mouth related to those concepts and ideas, because once they become a minority, they act as if they've been subjected to all of the horrors that all the other groups have been subjected to and all of the rights that they fought for. That's what Bill Burr meant when he talked about how did the Beckys and the Karens swing their Gucci booted feet over the fence of oppression and then all of a sudden become entitled to what every fucking other group was entitled to and what they fought for through civil rights protests and demonstrations and putting their bodies on the line and their necks on the chopping block. So to justify the idea of a hostile male class or the idea of men as a dominant group harboring antipathy against women as a class, Hacker doesn't depend on the historical examples of white men committing horrible atrocities against white women. Instead, she appeals to the violence used to sustain the subordination of the minority racial group. Because they can't point to it. There's nothing they can actually point to demonstrate that they were just submitted to horrific acts like black folks were, or like the Native Americans were, or like any other group of people who've gone through genocidal treatment. She writes, a way of examining the problematic aspects of masculine social roles is interpreting them in terms of accommodation to the new freedoms and responsibilities of women. Here again, we may look with profit to the minority group literature. This is literally saying, okay, well, we can, begin to make masculinity problematic by looking at what has occurred to, or what has happened to, minorities in the minority group literature. Doesn't have anything really actually to do with us, but we're going to write ourselves into the picture. We're going to do some retroactive historical analysis and reframing and reimagining of ourselves and what we've gone through. And we're going to make ourselves into this group and argue that it's the white evil men that did it. Therefore, absolving themselves with the wave of a wand from any guilt, any culpability, any accountability associated with the project of colonialism and slavery. That's a hell of a magic trick right there. Abracadabra, voila, magic. So Hacker believes that Horace R. Clayton's account of the guilt, hate, fear complex that whites have towards Negroes, the guilt, hate, fear complex that whites have towards Negroes, can be used to explain the antipathy white men have towards white women. Clayton believed that it was the irreconcilable and unresolvable guilt white men felt for their treatment of the Negro that drove him to violence. Clayton believed that, quote, persons learn to hate the object they feel guilty about, so the guilt turns to hate, and with it, the necessity to rationalize and justify their behavior, unquote, as well as fear them. Hacker explains that the Negro is defined by the masculine features of the black man and simultaneously configured next to women and the maternal through his emasculation. Explaining this phenomena as the Ishmael complex, or another model of ego development specific to America and the role the black man plays in the ontogeny of the young white male, Hacker insists that the Negro, as defined by the male, is both paternal, masculine, and maternal, feminine, simultaneously. The Negro is imagined like woman in that he is childlike, emotional, unsuited for intellectual work, morally undeveloped, all right in their proper places, and occasionally blessed with homely wisdom, women's intuition, which transcends knowledge. Simultaneously, Hacker observed that the black man is understood to be the apex of the masculine and the ideal sexual type of white women, because there is also the widespread belief in the superior virility of Negro men, evidenced chiefly in the notion that their genitalia are larger than those of whites. Hacker writes, thus we may glimpse the social roots of the mythopoeic bisexual creature who plays the role of buddy and a little bit more in the Ishmael complex. For only in the Negro in our society are masculine and feminine attributes so strangely conjoined. It is appropriate, therefore, that the dream image of the Ishmael complex be colored. But moreover, his darkness also blends into the dual maternal-paternal role. So, Curry goes on, black men played a substantial role in the development of white masculinity for Hacker. Her psychoanalytic accounts of the drives white men and women have towards black men explain why she is able to see the black male as the analog of the woman and why his experience can be appropriated by white women as the basis of establishing the gender category which holds women or a minority group in the mid-20th century. This appropriation of racial castration, it's an appropriation of racial castration or phallicism, made black men the template for hackers' early feminist analysis and served as the basis of theorizing women's oppression. So you don't get feminism without black male oppression and ideals surrounding and centered around black male marginalization and ostracization. For the black man, gender was of him, despite the attempts to now isolate him from the construct birthed from his body. Gender was of him. That's a hell of a thing to say, Curry, boy. You dropping bombs on him, baby. That's a lot to wrap your head around, man. That's a lot to wrap your head around. The racial caste literature influencing feminist thinkers such as Simone de Beauvoir and Helen Hacker concludes that it is the Negro male which is excluded from the kinship relationship and violently punished for violating the proxemics of the established racial order. Black men were punished. Let me start that over. Black men were punished more harshly for criticizing or acting against the place set for the Negro under Southern segregation. Let me say that again. Black men were punished more harshly for criticizing or acting against the place set for the Negro under Southern segregation. Dollard argued, it was quite clear that much more antagonism is tolerated from women. They can do and say things which would bring a severe penalty had they been men. Let's just be real, man. Mammy on the plantation could talk a lot more shit than black men could, bro. It just is what it is. Mammy had a different kind of role on the plantation and in white life than did the black man. We got to start telling the truth about this shit, man. So the black woman could talk a lot of shit, twist the face up and talk sassy and be nasty towards white folks. And that perhaps may have some relevance to how they act today towards black men and within the context of their own community. Don't know, but it's worth investigating and doing some research about, I think. So Mammy could talk shit to the white folks to a certain extent, although she couldn't go too overboard or unless they tap that ass also, because they will burn your ass in the flames too. Best believe it. If you get too far out of line. Too far. But anyway, Dollard argued it was quite clear that much more antagonism is tolerated from women they can do and say things which would bring severe penalty had they been men. It may be that white cast members do not fear the aggression of women so much, especially since it could not take the form of sexual attack or the chivalry expected of men in our society toward women in general may come into play. I don't get what women don't get about this. I don't get what black women don't get about this. They like to think that there's this humongous threat to white culture and society and that they could defeat it and topple it and dismantle it with their activism and their sassiness and all of this shit. This is laughable to white folks. They're looking at this like, look at little mammy, look at her go. I'm just being honest, man. They're looking at this shit like, look, mammy. Okay, mammy. But we don't want to have a realistic conversation about this, though. They're not threatened by black women, man. They're not. They never have been. They never will be. Let's be honest about this. But he says there are, of course, distinct limits to what the Negro women may do, but they are not so narrow as for men. The racial caste system dictated the sex-gender borders of racial space. In this space, racial proxemics were imposed by the relation, or more appropriately, the threat the black male posed to the biological reproduction and kinship bonds of whites. Let me repeat that so you can get that. The racial caste system dictated the sex-gender borders of racial space. In this space, getting close to whiteness, racial proxemics were imposed by the relation, or more appropriately, the threat the black male posed to the biological reproduction and kinship bonds of whites. It's all about the white woman and her little soil, because she is the one that gives birth to future black patriarchs, right? Excuse me, white patriarchs, right? 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 So her purity and chastity was of paramount concern. That's why black men had to be kept away from her. Otherwise, you won't be able to reproduce the white race and to keep the dominance going. This is how this shit works. It doesn't take really actually an academic article to really draw this out, but for some reason, it seems like common sense is not common even in the academy, and so therefore we have to go through these steps. Consequently, racial proxemics was the basis by which the physical space was determined by the spatial organization black maleness demanded to preserve white racial kinship. The black women posed no such threat to the endogamy of the white race and was therefore exploited and brutalized by the incorporation within the race-sex system of the Southern order for the white man's sexual gain. There you're swirling right there. The swirling is not your adoption into the family. It's not your introduction into the kinship relationship. You pose no threat to their endogamy. In fact, they'll take your children and turn them into slaves and regurgitate and grind them back into the system like sausage. But I guess, I don't know, man, maybe the most educated class really can't seem to grasp this. I don't understand what they don't understand about this. I guess we got to suspend common sense in order to make people feel good nowadays. It is fitting that Dollard refers to this dynamic as the patriarchal caste system of the South. And Curry goes on to say, our present concept of gender is understood almost exclusively as marking out the difference the female body and feminine kind has to maleness. This relationship, however, was not a natural division. It was constructed by white women who sought to define themselves against the 19th century idea of woman as family. To do this, the white woman used the body and experience of the Negro, specifically the black man, as the template by which she created the idea that she was in fact a minority group, despite the power and violence she imparted on racial and ethnic groups such as blacks and Jews. Man. Curry going in on them. The development of the gender construct from being analogous to the Negro's place to a social system rooted in sharp caste distinctions is of tremendous importance to the disappearance of kinship within contemporary feminist gender theory. The development of the gender construct from being analogous to the Negro's place to a social system rooted in sharp caste distinctions is of tremendous importance to the disappearance of kinship within contemporary feminist gender theory. And I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to overload you with shit on a Saturday. And I don't know how far am I off into this? How many minutes am I off into this? Go to the main scene, man. I don't know how much time I've been spending on this. How much time I've been doing this. Oh, I'm almost an hour into it. Almost an hour into it. I ain't gonna be here long. Thank you, Jeray. Appreciate your donation. I'm gonna give you a little shout out. Shout out to you, sir. Shout out to Michael Ross. Shout out to you, sir. Thank you so much for your donation. Very little. Thank you so much for your donation. Got to give you some shine time there, sir. Drew Main, thank you for your donation. I'm going all the way down the list because I had my head buried in the document and I couldn't see. Kwaku Asasi, shout out to you, sir. Thank you for your donation. And again, I saw Mr. Tober's already ahead of time, but thank you for yours, sir. And also thank you for your donation, B-Mo. Thank you. B-Mo. Sound like Baltimore from B-Mo. But at any rate, man, you're invited to converse with me about this, man. I don't know how you feel about that, but I mean, the whole idea here is that you took us in order to develop a theory about you. And now you've placed us in a category to where we could be ignored, demonized, categorized as ontologically malevolent, while you get to sidestep any culpability or accountability at all related to your contribution to the colonial and the slave-based project. Man, that's a hell of a, boy, that's some genius shit right there, boy. That's a Jedi mind trick if I ain't never seen one, bro. That's a hell of a trick right there, man. That's game to the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 20th power. That's game right there. That is game. Thank you to Jack. Appreciate that. Appreciate your contribution. And tomorrow, I'm going to give you the second part of this. But that's game, man. But game recognize game. I'm just saying. Game recognize game, man. So I've invited you in, man. If you want to have a conversation about this, you can. I'm going to take a quick break, man. And when I come back from the break, if ain't nobody here, man, I'm going to go ahead and get my closing remarks and be up out of here. But, I mean, just think about the implications here. I mean, the implications are, look, man, the very notion of gender would not be what it is today if they did not have black men as a prototype in order to utilize and to compare and contrast themselves with in order to write themselves into being oppressed. Now, they know that they haven't had the same kind of experiences that black men have had in the United States. They know this. They're aware of this. They're not foolish. They're not dumb. But that's a hell of a game right there to play, man. That's a hell of a way to switch up the game, boy, in the ninth inning. That's a hell of a way to do it, boy. So anyway, man, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, man, we can have a conversation if you want to. If you don't, man, I'm up out this joint. Be right back. All right, y'all, I'm back. You know who I am. I'm GG. And this is the Green Gorilla Channel. It's a place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up with no chasers. And got a guest here, man. His name is Devin Lockett, and he is now, hollering at the GG, the Green Gorilla, man. What's going on, my brother? How you doing, man?
What's up, brother? Peace, man. This is a great topic, and I'm glad you brought it up, man. You know, the feminists started, but then the LGBTQ community jumped on the bandwagon. And now everybody is talking about, well, what about when black people couldn't do this? What about? I don't appreciate that, man. That's very disrespectful. They're riding the coattails of the struggle that mostly black men had to suffer through.
Oh, no doubt. And that's the issue that, that's the issue I think Curry has. The whole point, and then he's got receipts to back it up, though. This is not just, feeling and emotion, being spurred up in a vacuum. He's pointing to specific persons. He's going to Alva Murdahl and the trickery that she hatched out. He's going to Hacker and her contribution to it. And they're the principal players in being able to transform women's role in history as, principal purveyors of colonialism and slavery to being the victims of some sort of, vicious patriarchy, which they were a part of. They proudly professed that they were a member of the patriarchal race. And they used that same kind of argumentation in order to try to, obstruct black men from being able to be enfranchised. And Frederick Douglass came out and spoke up against this. And it's a hell of a move to make, man. And to know that it's been able to take off unchecked, uncritiqued
from the beginning.
Is marvelous, man. I mean, this is a hell of a move, man.
Like you said, it's a hell of a hat trick, man. It's a hell of a trick to pull, and it just totally bamboozles society. It's the zeitgeist, man. It's just being turned around, and now we have the Karen scenario, where once again white women can use the unfairness and injustice and racism of the police brutality of the whole policing situation between police and black men as a weapon, aggressively as a weapon, not even in self-defense. I can call and play victim and sick the cops on you, all because the zeitgeist has been turned around to make the oppressor into the victim and the victim into some scary beast.
Yeah, but they've been doing that from day one, though. I mean, but the funny thing, see, the black male is, the way that they characterize us, we're feminine and masculine at the same time. We got big dicks, but we're incompetent and we're not masculine because we don't have power over white men.
Right.
Okay, but they don't want us next to their women, but they sure want to fuck ours and create more. They love the concubine.
Straight up, exactly.
All right, they love their concubine, but their concubine knows their place, though. The concubine knows how far she can go. And she can get sassy and nasty and act angry and say some shit here and there, but they know how far they can go with it.
Exactly.
Because the master got the strap for them, too.
They're not even nasty with Zaddy. Most of the time, yeah.
But I got another brother, construction site. I mean, you can join us, man. You don't have to take it over, man. But, you can come on in and at any point, man, weigh in and, speak your piece.
Thanks. I'm going to listen. I'm going to come on in when you guys are talking. All right. But thanks for having me, though.
Oh, for sure. And so, it's a hell of a thing to understand or to know that the gender concept itself is connected directly to theorizing about black men.
Exactly.
That they couldn't develop and draft it on their own. That they needed black men as a class in order to bring about the kind of legislation, the acts, and the departments, the whole thinking, the whole framework.
To even recognize there was such a thing as the oppressed minority in this society.
And they taken it and they've run with it, man. Mm-hmm. And look, I don't have a problem with women talking about what is in their interest, but come on, don't do it at our expense. That's the only issue I have. And you're right, man. Now LGBT, they're jumping on it. And then, trans persons are jumping on it. Everybody's jumping on it. And I'm like, well, where the fuck is your record of being oppressed like this? Where's your record of being lynched? Where's your record of having shackles and chains, placed around your necks and your feet because you're gay or something like that? Where's your record of that? I mean, I'm not saying it is cool to be ostracized and to be subjected to humiliation and misrecognition. I'm not saying that. But I am saying, God damn, how did it all come to pass that now we need to be quiet and shut up because everybody else is more oppressed than we are because, of the intersectionality, the way oppression works now. It's all interlaced with different kind of interstices and, different kind of interconnections between different forms of oppression. Like, come on, man. Like, we all know the truth. We can all see the numbers. And everybody's in on this game and this charade, man.
Straight up.
And I think it's all to really actually spare the feelings of white women, man.
That's all it is.
And by extension, black women. But I'm like, fuck these white women, man. I'm just keeping it 100, man. They can kiss my ass for all I care. I mean, I'm not going to let you off the hook. I got pictures of you at lynchings.
Straight up. And
you smiling and shit. Like, it's all laughing and games. Man, you got your,
bringing their children. Yeah, no. And I remember
and they're responsible for getting motherfuckers killed, man, and locked up and incarcerated for decades unjustly, man.
Exactly. Oh, no, they don't get off the hook for racism at all.
No, they don't, man.
No.
But they want to get off the hook. And they did that. That was some slick shit that they did, bro. I mean, this is, and now they, most of them are into this shit. Oh yeah, we're oppressed. We couldn't vote and all this shit. Like, man, you ain't the only people couldn't vote in this motherfucker, man.
Yep.
Most men couldn't vote in the United States.
Yep.
I'm just keeping it 100. We're gonna keep it a buck. Like, all men in this United States of America, white men, were not property owning males.
That's right.
And it wasn't until a while, close to the turn of the 20th century, where most white men actually, were beginning to be able to enjoy the franchise. You know, but I mean, come on, man. Well, at least the middle of the 19th century. But come on, man. Let's not act like white women didn't benefit from this fucking colonial and racial project, the slave-based project. I'm done with that, bro.
Yep, and they still do. Yeah.
So we got another brother in here, man. Yoga ATL. What's happening?
What's up, Yoga?
Yoga,
what's going on, fellas?
What's going on? What's cracking
yes,
with
I
you,
can hear
brother?
you. Thank you. I'm doing remarkable. Thank you for allowing me on your panel.
Oh, no problem, man. Glad to have you.
I want to add to the topic you guys are saying right now, and it came to something that has happened in my life. I have Caucasian female friends and associates here in Atlanta, Georgia, with the gentrification going on here in Atlanta proper. So I'm coming into a lot of contact now with white women, and they definitely speak in the grocery stores and the farmers market in the old 44 area of Atlanta where I'm at. And what I'm seeing is when this COVID-19 hit here in Atlanta, a lot of white women, I really started to see how they really look at us in society. A lot of white women did things where they don't have to work anymore, and they just gave reasons, and they got disability in crazy odd ways. And I see how they kind of look at us as a kind of like almost like they can just choose and pick a brother. I get a chance to see them cycle brothers out, or be walking the dog with a brother this 6 months and switch it up and have another brother the next 6 months. And because Atlanta is a transit city and so many people coming and going, people don't even really see it. But I get a chance because I'm right here and I'm an ATLian and my eyes are open to it. And especially when things go wrong in a relationship, you get a chance to see the Caucasian woman really turn it on. So I got a chance to see that, not experience myself, but just see it with the interracial situation in Atlanta proper, where the gentrification is going on.
Yeah, so I know it's a lot of black men out there, man, who they argue that it's safer. Well, you have less flack to deal with from dealing with a white woman. The idea is that if you fuck with a Becky, then you ain't got to deal with the black mammy attitude. You ain't got to deal with the sapphire attitude.
With her, if you get out of what her direction is, I've seen it go bad here in Atlanta, and I did see that side of the Becky come out, where it's like, oh, okay, they really look at us like she owned him.
Man, I don't. Look. Man, I can't fuck with one of them, man. Like, it's been so many white women that threw themselves on me, man. I'm like, look, lady, man, I can't fuck with you, because if I end up fucking with you, something go wrong, they gonna try to hang my ass. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if it's a black woman, they gonna be like, well, fuck that bitch. I mean, they will still stick it to you, but not like if they would if it was a white woman. I mean, because to them, white woman is the thing that gives birth to white folks. Bottom line. So you can't have white people without the white woman. So that's the repository of whiteness right there.
Well, now I got a friend, brother, prominent brother here in Atlanta out of Morehouse. He's in the medical field, in the doctor's field. And he did had a child with a Becky, did the Catholic school thing, and once he got into that his own practice situation, to that next tier of it, having his own practice and being on the scene here in Atlanta publicly, he got a chance to see what direction and how she wanted him to move and influence, and how he was trying to influence the community here from a black standpoint, being a doctor and going public with their own practice. And it broke up the home, and he got a chance to really see how it goes with them, with the kids, with the courts. And just like you said, it goes like this: white men, white women in society, then everything else. No matter how much they put it on these commercials and showing us the interracial couples and stuff, when it all breaks down, that's what it is. And that's why white women go at us, because they know at the end of the day, they're viewed as still as more power in the society and legal power status than us. Even though we're looked at as, oh, he must be on his grind of a successful brother if he has a white woman. But in the other way, the white community looks at it as that they still have the upper hand, and from a lineage standpoint and a financial standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, racism is a team sport, man. These people act like they ain't playing it like team, man. They are. And they can introduce all kind of isms and schisms and sexisms and LGBTQ isms and transisms and whatever the fuck else. They can add as many isms as they want to. But the reality is, man, we know what they do along the lines of race, man. We know how they get down, man. Put it this way. All this shit is a means by which to say that they're actually being proactive in relation to justice without actually fucking dealing with what they've done to us. That's all this shit is. So if they can continue to put out more and more movies with women in them, kicking men's asses, if they can put more gay people having kiss scenes in movies and TV shows and shit, they don't have to actually deal with the issue of black folks, and in particular of black men. And then when you got a whole bunch of black feminists who are basically arguing that, okay, black men are just as malevolent as white people say that they are, just as backwards and pathological, and just as, evil as white folks say that they are, then we don't have a snowball's chance in hell, because the very people who were once our allies have decided to turn their backs on us and to demonize us, where they should be lionizing us and helping us get through this grid and working together to become, a strong community and a nation. But we can't get there because at the end of the day, everybody's vying out for what's in their own best interest. Let me do me. I'm going to get mine. Fuck you.
I think we seeing that we're being offered the white women through the media now, and it's very heavy. It's catching everybody's attention. They're every other commercial on the sports, boxing, all of it. And I look at it like this, bro. That's a trap, because everything they presented to us in this history since we've been let off these plantations, since the chattel slavery stopped, everything we look back at it from Reconstruction through the 20s and all up to the information age today, everything was a trap for us. Everything, all the major things in society, everything was a setup to almost like get us back to the plantation. So at this point in stage that we see what you pointed out there, bombarding us with the homosexuality and the destruction of anti-family, and at the same time they're offering and saying that the gates are open to for white women to go at black men and black men to go at white women. I look at the the boxer Jack Johnson situation, and that's why I think it's a trap, and how he had the white wife and what went on, and they drained everything from him or whatnot. And I think overall it's a trap, because the seeds that we produce with them are still gonna be wards of the state.
Man, look, I already got a problem trusting black women. I got a deep problem trusting white women, man. I just don't believe they sincere, man. I'm just keeping it 100, man. All the shit they done to black folks historically, man. And all of a sudden, I'm about to be sleeping with one of them motherfuckers, putting everything in my whole life in that motherfucker's hands. Man, you can do what you want to do. You can choose to love who you love, man. I understand it works out for some people, man, because white women have a different disposition in relation to men. So if it works for you, cool. I ain't gonna knock you and tell you can't do that, all right? But all I'm saying is, I find it difficult to trust them, bro. I'm just keeping it 100, man. Like I'm telling you, man. One day I was at a bar with some white people, man. Like, we drinking and having a fucking good time, man. I mean, we there from like happy hour to damn near when the place closed. We eating there and having, snacks in between and shit and buying drinks. And the bartender, man, was a white woman, man. She, her car was near where my car was parked. So she offered to take me to, get my car so I can just go home. I had to teach the next day or whatever the case may be. So, and anyway, man, this woman promised me to take me to my car, but she didn't take me to my fucking car, man. She ended up taking me to her house. And I told her, I said, hey, look, yo, if I drove you to my house after I got through telling you I was gonna take you to your car. You be fucking on the goddamn phone call right now, calling the police, man.
Exactly.
You be calling the motherfucking police, yo. Real talk. I told her that, man. I say, this actually is some creepy shit you doing. And you doing it because you think that.
A brother.
Man, I say, yo, look, first of all, man, look. Man, all I can say is that's danger and trouble, man. All I wanted to do was go to my motherfucking car. If it was the case that I was trying to pop something in you, I would have let you know, look, let's get down. But I wasn't like, and I talk ignorantly to white women. Like as soon as they try to, because look, I can either go full black, or I could be, articulate and let people know that I do have some enculturation and education. I've been at bars, man, where, man, like I'm just sitting there chilling, and a white woman will be all up in my face, smiling. Hey, I just start talking like one of the most ignorant niggas in the world. What's up, shouty? What's good with you, little mama? You know what I'm saying? So to get her, because I know that's gonna turn her off and get. But nowadays it might turn them on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because nowadays, but I just don't trust them, bro. I'm just keeping it 100, man. I'm not trying to be ignorant, but it might be a function and a feature of where I come from as well, though. You know what I'm saying? Because I come from, St. Louis, and it's racially stratified. It might be different in other places, though. You know what I'm saying? Like in California, it might be different. It might be different in Chicago. It might be different in, different territories. In Texas or whatever. I'm just not used to fucking with these chicks, these white women like that, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
like, yeah.
That point you made about she offered to take you to your car but went to your house. I think that made me think about Deshaun Watson, because you could have gotten her house and if you didn't do what you wanted her to do, she could have then hit 911.
Boy, that could have been a fucked up situation, right? But I'm with my colleagues. All my colleagues white, so we all getting fucked up. We all. And look, I don't know why people, man, think the people who got advanced degrees or MDs or JDs like they're not human beings and that they don't do regular shit. Like we all just kicking it, talking, laughing, joking, just going off on each other and talking about ideas and concepts like how we do in the manosphere. Whatever the case may be, we're just having an intellectual conversation all day, all night at this damn bar. And I'm just thinking, okay, the white chick probably looking at me like, okay, he understands white folks, because I'm with white folks, you know what I'm saying? So she probably like, oh, he gets down, you know what I'm saying? He's the type of guy who would fuck a white chick. You know what I'm saying? And I told my coworkers, they laughed at the shit, but I was like, man, this shit ain't funny, man. You know what I'm saying? This is the type of shit, this is the sort of shit that can get a nigga jammed up. And I said, look, if I'd have done that shit to her, she'd have been on the motherfucking phone 911, man. Where you taking me? I told her, I was like, man, where are we going, man? My car is this way. Oh, I just want to stop right here for a second. She ain't live too far from the bar, though. You know what I'm saying? Man.
Green.
Man.
Only take me 10 seconds. That happened to me in DR. I was up in DR in Puerto Plata at the Jumbo. It's like the Walmart. White girls in a Range Rover heard me speaking English. She was European. But the Europeans look at us the same way. She like, oh, that's a black American guy, hip hop. I had my hair cornrow. She told me she was a taxi, because in DR a lot of taxis. So she said, all right, it's gonna be $5 American, A, B, C, and D. But once I got in the car, she offered me the beer, the party, the whole nine. And I was like, I got out before I got out the parking lot. So it happened internationally there too, the same way.
Yeah, I just, look, I just know how much trouble you can get in these United States fucking around with one of them. I don't know what it's like in Europe. I can't speak to that. All I know is I don't trust them, bro. That's just me. I can't speak to anybody else's experiences. I cannot. I ain't hating on them. If you want to do that, that's cool. I get it. I understand it. I just, I just got to be cautious, man. That's all it is, man. I'm just trying to be cautious, man. you know. But you know, right now all that dating and trying to holler at women and all that shit, that game, I ain't never been on that shit no way. But I mean, I'm damn near. Well, I'm 50 now, so I don't have time for all that bullshit. I ain't chasing chicks no more like I used to, you know. But good convo, man. You know, good convo. But at the end of the day, you know, the whole conversation was started because I wanted to, you know, read part of Curry's work. There's a part of it I want to read tomorrow, and you know, that's dealing with the whole concept of not just how gender was basically brought about through black men and racial, you know, ideals or the Negro, but how patriarchy in and of itself is a racial kinship system. It's not a system where men are just like exploiting women. That's not what patriarchy has been throughout history. Patriarchy is a team sport that white men and white women play together in order to, you know, exercise control over a geographical location or a group of people, man.
Yeah, it's the most efficient way for all people to operate, and unless we get back on the tip with patriarchy, we're going to continue to suffer.
And I mean, and the idea that it's like some shit where men just get together and they hook up and they find ways to suppress and oppress women, I mean, it just belies the historical experience of black folks in the United States. If patriarchy worked to the benefit of all men, then why didn't black men from the very start have benefits above and beyond that of black women?
Straight up.
Why weren't we the head of the fucking household from day one? I mean, if it's the case that patriarchy creates black privilege, male privilege, why didn't we have it from the fucking beginning? And this is what I want a feminist to come answer the question. Why did it result in more death for us? Why? Why did it result in more incarceration for us? Why? Why did it result in shackles for us, but you free to roam around the motherfucking cabin? Why? And I'm going to keep talking about this shit until I get an appropriate answer. And I don't care what the feelings are going to be and, oh, you don't like women. No, I just don't like the bullshit that's being espoused right now. The way that we got to deny reality for what it is. And we got to fall on the sword and endure all of this damn dysfunction for the sake of making other people feel good and become invisible. That's what I don't like, man. I'm not about to fall on the sword, man. Fuck that shit. You know, that's just how I feel about it, bro.
A lot of brothers feel like you.
I know they feel like that, man. I know y'all feel like that.
100%. I agree with the 100%. Yeah.
Hold on, here's brother Chris,
yeah,
man.
I'm a father, college educated, travel. I see this. I see how it destroys a segment of society who follows this, and the feminists are kind of the equivalent to what we would consider as coons in society that's going to sabotage the revolution. That type of talk sabotages us economically. So we want to build economically. So we can't have that voice that you said, that negative, and it's spewing false information. We just look at the history and the facts.
Well, you know, Jason Hales basically says, Gigi, can you explain why we're seeing more depictions of black and white people in more romantic relationships nowadays? And, you know, my guess is that, you know, it's some woke bullshit. You got some, you know, people in positions in the media who are pushing this shit, you know, in order to create optics. But I mean, and not to say that the media doesn't have an impact on interracial relationships. I think it does. But like, come on, man, this woke shit ain't really changing the landscape of America, man. It ain't making motherfuckers change their behavior for real. When motherfucking black folks start protesting, doing them police shootings and shit, white people went and got a whole bunch of fucking guns, didn't it?
And the money went into BLM, so that money went back to them. So all that energy, all that stopping the traffic, they was blocking the interstates in Atlanta. At the end of the day, I look up, I was like, okay, the Koch brothers was behind Black Lives Matter, and that's the Southern Company. And so I'm like, wow. So, like you said, all that woke, that was fake.
Yeah,
that
you hear
fake
me?
activism.
keep us in a state of yeah.
Yeah, that you know, I look. When BLM first started, I didn't know what the hell it was. I just thought it was a slogan, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I was in Ferguson because I'm from St. Louis, you know what I'm saying? And so I was out there. I had my, you know, I actually have a photo with me with a goddamn BLM sign.
Yo, can anybody hear me?
And I
see
can
my
hear you.
thing moving.
Chris, are
I
you
don't know if
there?
y'all can hear me.
Yeah, I can
But
hear
I tell
you, Chris.
this, man. There's always women behind niggas controlling them secretly in ways they don't even understand. And that article made a lot of sense to me because that's the first time after we was getting the civil rights, they saw us getting rights. They was about to see men using that basic victimhood position that they always had, and they just capitalize on that because you know they women, they got good social skills, and they already in the good graces of the people in power, and they just took that shit.
Man, the way I see it, it benefits a lot of people. First
I
of
know
all,
everybody lying about it.
it benefits
Like
white
that ain't
folks.
how it is.
It benefits
And
white
nobody gonna
families.
admit it, but that's what it is.
Can you hear me?
I'm
So
glad you're talking about it still, but I don't know if y'all can hear
He
me.
can't hear us. He can't hear us.
I'm gonna
he
cut
can't
out
hear
this and
us,
go back
dog.
to
You need to
YouTube.
turn on. Yeah, you got to turn on your earphone, your earpiece.
You don't hear us.
We hear you, but you don't hear
y'all
us.
can hear me, but I can't hear us. All right, so I'm
Right.
still gonna go out and just go back to YouTube because I want to get on I want to listen. All
Okay, right on, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah, he just wanted to get in and give his piece, man. I you know, it was some semantic noise because I didn't know if he could hear us or not, and I assumed that he could hear us, but which I made an ass out of myself. So, but at the end of the day, I thought BLM was just like, you know, just a slogan. I didn't know it was an organization directed towards, you know, like the LGBT community of black folks. I had no idea. But then I saw the attitude of the women, you know, when I actually went to do a die-in at Jefferson City. So we went to the legislative body in Jefferson City in the Senate where they were confirming and inaugurating new electors, right? And we went in there and made a big fuss and, you know, disrupted the whole scene and shouted and made a bunch of noise and did die-ins and started yelling Black Lives Matter and hands up, don't shoot, all that shit. But then I realized, I was like, damn, these women are standoffish as a motherfucker. Like, why are they so standoffish? Why? I'm here to, you know, like, it's time to get some shit popping. You know, like this is what we're here for. Like, what's good?
Yeah.
But I noticed they were, you know, and then I realized, oh, that's what this is. Oh, I'm not wanted because I ain't the right, you know, persuasion for the occasion. You know, I ain't swinging the bats, you know, with other bat players. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I can't contribute to the struggle because I ain't the right kind of gender, or I have the right kind of gender, you know.
Dysphoria?
Well, you know, I'm not gonna even, you know, call it one way or the other. You can do what you want to with your body parts, but don't try to make me be, you know, a boogeyman or somebody who's oppressing you. I ain't never told a gay person a day in my life that they can't fuck somebody, or I might have laughed at the shit or snickered at it or whatever, but you know, look, the shit, you know, it is what it is, man. I mean, like, it ain't like I ain't never been laughed at or snickered at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, okay, so
when you went to that Black Lives Matter, I look at how they engineered the whole situation. Okay, let's break it down real quick. All right,
yeah,
the situation with Dr. Boyce Watkins, how they showed the Charles Wu, the Asian guy that's tied to the Asian billionaires. They sit back with a plan over in Asia and say, hey, we need to make money off of black people stirring their emotions and making them think that they're moving ahead against some type of political gain. How can we do this? And then he gave Boyce them a plan. It's other people doing it. It's other groups the same way around the world with billions of dollars are sitting back and saying, how can we make money off of the African-American struggle in the United States? And they're investing money to sit down and think of plans. And Black Lives Matter was a plan. If we look back at it, okay, the young black men were getting killed. they came already with a tagline and a slogan that would confuse us like it did you, Doc. It made you think that it was for us as a black people, but it was a separate organization, LLC, corporation that had been filed. All this stuff was planned with funding behind it to make people think that it was about actual people instead of being an actual corporation. And that corporation had other anti-family stuff. All this was planned out. So we seen a psychological warfare, and we saw the first wave of attack on black family brought out by the Black Lives Matter, by the billionaires that were behind them. And they might not even be in America. We just witnessed wave one, people, of how they're going to attack us psychologically now, and they're going to confuse us, and it's going to seem like it's a part of our struggle. So I'm analyzing it from this way. I'm looking at the people who invested the money, and I'm like, okay, they don't even have to be here in America to do that.
Oh man, so look, let me tell you something. The United States, man, is a shrewd. I mean, the principal players, man, who put shit together, man. Like, I ain't even trying to talk about the CIA, the FBI, and all them other boys, but I mean, let's just bring them into it, man. Like, they have counterinsurgency measures. Exactly. Like, if some shit, like they got this, they can do that shit in any fucking territory throughout the world, man. I mean, just look up counterinsurgency tactics, and measures. They play this game all throughout the world, man. They done it in Afghanistan, Iraq. They did it in Vietnam. They do it everywhere they go throughout the world, where they, they create colonies and they set up governments, man. Like if the native population begins to, insurrect, they have counterinsurgency measures. Some of them are stick measures, like, okay, we're gonna hit you in the head with something. Some of them are carrot measures. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they have this shit figured out, bro. They playing chess, man. We playing checkers. We're reacting. They're like, okay, we're gonna respond with let me see, B4. We're gonna move to BE4. Yeah. They're gonna do that. Okay. Well, we'll bring in. We'll create some internal strife. We'll use gender politics in order to create a wedge between the male and the female population, and we'll give a few set-asides, but we'll have all the money be filtered through our organization so we can keep an accounting of where it's going. And we're going to use it to primarily fund Democratic candidates. And, these people are slick. They know what the fuck they're doing, man. They're not dumb, bro.
Nothing to do with black people at all. Nothing to do
and they know who to get. They know who they can get. And they know most black folks, man, going to take the token position and they're going to cash out with the bag.
Yep.
They ain't going to stay on no revolutionary shit. They're going to be like, look, they're going to make a proposition like, look, this some shit you can't win.
Yep. Just like
you may as well look out for yourself and your family. I mean, you can do more good cooperating with us than against us. You know what I'm saying? So, what you need is more Democrats in office and shit like that. I mean, these people got game, man.
I know. It's the same thing they did to ADOS, right? ADOS went straight to the Democrats. I don't know what they offered them, but Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell, now they straight Democrat ticket. It's like, I don't know.
You see the real colors. After you look back at it, in hindsight, you get a chance to see what's rolled out and how it's made to look, and then what it is. It's still the same game. I think, and what I'm doing personally myself, I'm taking the approach of the Hebrew brothers. I'm coming out of her, my people, getting in a position where I'm producing my own food, on land, and being set aside and utility and resource efficient, self-sufficient as possible, and building communities and towns. Kind of like I see here other brothers building towns and communities. That's what we got to start doing, and then reculture.
That's what's up. Acres, get acres and build on it.
Yeah.
That's what it's time to do.
But it's a hell of a game out here, man. Black men just want to survive and thrive and be able to function. And it seems like everywhere we go and in every turn, it's somebody trying to use us in order to come up, man. Or either if we're trying to come up, they'll use some sort of fugazi ass tactic to keep us down. or to make us to be, you know, the culprits when it's been them all along. Like, I just can't understand how at the end of the day, man, Miss Ann, Karen, Becky, whatever the fuck you want to call these white women, man, how all of a sudden they could be these victims. And everybody throughout the world is just worried about their fucking victimization when they've been like some of the primary proponents and the fucking propagators of fucking racial animus over the past fucking 2.5 centuries, man. I mean, you know, like, what the fuck, man? I just don't understand it, man. Yeah. But we got to worry about them. All they got to do is start crying and shit and talk about how they've been abused and how they've been through some shit. But they don't want to talk about how they was slapping and abusing motherfuckers on these plantations and doing Jim Crow. They don't want to talk about how many Negroes they done had set up for rape charges and shit. And, you know, they was the main ones, you know, instigating some bullshit with that fugaziness. Yep. We don't want to talk about all that, though. See, but we want to talk about their pain and their tears and how they've been, you know, subjected to all kind of domination and oppression from the hands of men and masculinity. I'm just like, man, hey, bro, it's for every action, it's an equal and an opposite reaction, man. And men have been quiet for too long, and black men have been quiet for a hell of a long time. All these conversations usually were held in the barbershop. Yep. You know what I'm saying, or you know, at the dice game or something, you know, where brothers sipping brew at the barbecue, they done separated and partitioned themselves off from the women, so they starting to have conversations among themselves. That's typically where these conversations will be had, but now they, you know, they out on, you know, on YouTube and in a clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. So people are hearing it, and you know, they're like they in a shock or something. Like, okay, you Negroes actually have an opinion. But we thought we got rid of all your opinions, you know, by like shame and guilting you out of them. You know what I'm saying? We thought we had you conditioned to where all this was gone.
But see, the Black Manosphere is bringing it back.
Hey, man, the Black Manosphere, thank the God for the Black Manosphere, man.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say. Even though the Black Manosphere sometimes be on some bullshit, but, you know.
Everybody don't agree, you know. Everybody don't agree.
And, you know, and I don't mind disagreement. I just don't like all the insults and motherfuckers, you know, acting like they about to whip somebody's ass and shit. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, this ain't fucking WWF and ain't smack. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just keep this shit a buck, man. Like, come on, man. Like, we grown ass men. Most of us are over 25. All right? All you gotta do is look at the demographics of the channels and who watching your shit. It'll give you a rundown of who's watching and what the age group is. Them young bucks ain't watching Manosphere shit. They too busy out there thinking they know everything, getting pussy right now. When they have a couple of shorties or something, these motherfuckers use the system against you. They'll be here. They'll be worried about Manosphere issues then. You know what I'm saying? Right now, they ain't got no Manosphere problems, right? They you know, they just got young boy problems. You know what I'm saying? Young buck problems. But when they
get a baby mama, they get
a baby mama, all that shit gonna change, baby. Yep. You know, so but yeah, man, tomorrow I'm gonna talk about how, and it's not my thoughts, man. It's just Curry's, man. It's you know, talking about how patriarchy really is a racial kinship system. It's not about men oppressing women all across the board, or women, you know, somehow being dominated by every man that she comes into contact with. We just know that that's not the case. All we got to do is look at slavery and you'll see it's not the case.
That's right.
All you got to do is look at it, and we act like these women didn't own slaves, or that they wasn't in the household beating motherfuckers and slapping people and being evil and nasty. We act like they wasn't responsible for getting motherfuckers hung and shit, man.
Or decided to force bread.
Man, Emmett come Till. On, bro.
Emmett Till.
Man, we act like these people, man. We act like these people wasn't part of something nasty. But you know, it's a lot of men on some chivalry shit. Now I get it, bro. You know, like there's a reason for chivalry. If there's a reciprocal, you know, extension of honor and service for the chivalry. But if you don't offer anything in return for chivalry, like I heard the other day, man, where they had these women going off on like the cater to you song, like. I'm not, you know, like catering to your man, like it's some fucked up shit to do. Like it's beneath you. Like, wait a minute, but that motherfucker supposed to pay your bills, take care of your kid from another nigga.
Right.
He's supposed to make sure you protected, walk on the outside of the curb so you don't get hit by oncoming traffic. Open the door for you. Make sure, you know, the coat and the puddle is there so your fucking feet don't get wet and your hair don't get wet and all this. He's supposed to take the bullet for you and fall on the sword. But you ain't gonna do shit for him. Nothing. You can't even make that nigga a sandwich. You can't even rub that nigga head when he get home. I'm like, are you serious, man? Like, it's gotten to the point where you can't even, why be in a relationship with a man if you can't even relate to that motherfucker? That's my whole thing. That's my new mantra. Yeah. Why get into a relationship if you can't relate?
Or they're proud to say that they don't know how to cook. It's like, what's up with that?
These motherfuckers lying, bro. Look,
you got to eat.
These people, like, cooking is best done with love. What they mean to say is that they have no orientation to loving the people that they cooking for. That's right. What they saying.
That's right.
That's what they saying when they say that to me. You mean you basically don't love me enough to make sure that I'm nurtured.
That's right.
Cause I'll cook a meal, man, for my partners even. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker, look, you come to my crib, dog, I'm setting it out. I got chicken, macaroni and cheese, nigga, meatloaf, the whole, I'll cook the shit. And it'll be cooked with love, and so the shit'll taste good. But these motherfucking women today, man, this microwave shit, man, this hamburger helper hoes out here, man, fuck all that, man. I can do that myself. I can cook whip up a quick meal. I can do the hamburger helper shit. But these women act like it's, you know, it's an ordeal. Like they have made it to where anything they could do for a man is beneath them.
Right.
But they still want service.
Right.
Men don't operate like that. You can't hit the on and off switch like that.
Nope.
You can't do that, man. So, but anyway, man, I don't want to hold you brothers too long, man. It's Juneteenth. You know, I know y'all got some shit y'all into, man. And if you got some closing remarks, man, please make them. And
happy Father's Day weekend, brothers.
Oh, happy Father's Day to y'all too. Happy Father's Day to every brother out here, man. I know it's tomorrow, I think, right? Happy Father's Day is. So, you know, shout out to all the fathers out here. I'm a father of two. You know, they fuck with me when they need something or want something, you know, but you know how that go, man. I mean, you know, but I got two girls, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, they live in a different social reality than we do anyway, man. And so, it just is what it is, man. But, you know, again, like my brother Micah, the comedian, says, I find it funny they want chivalry, but yet they don't know what it really is. And look, chivalry really actually is the moral code of French cavalrymen, man, in the medieval era, man. That's what it really is. Okay, now, I understand you protect the weak or whatever the case may be, but like, man, nowadays these women are not weak, man. They're not weak. They have soft power, and a lot of these women have hard power as well. Don't get it twisted. So while you thinking they so meek and tame and timid and they're so nice, and get on their bad side and see how much trouble and turmoil they can create in your life. That's just the facts, man. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta start telling the truth, man. And men are not as cold-hearted as these women are, man. Men do not go to the system to try to destroy women's lives, man. They don't, man. Never. But a woman will do that shit, boy. She'll think it. She'll pre-plan it. Like, I plan to destroy this nigga shit.
Yep.
Men don't think like that. Like, I'm going to destroy everything she ever fucking had. Men don't do that to women, dog. But women will do that shit to your ass. It's not, we operating on a different moral code. So, but anyway, man, thank y'all for coming, man. Say what you got to say, man. And y'all, I mean, you know, you already did. But anyway, man, thank y'all for coming, man. You're welcome on GG's channel anytime, man.
Thank you, brother.
Peace out, man. Peace out. So anyway, man, you know, it's another one, man. We're going to wrap this on up, man. Get upon up this joint. You know who I be, man. I'm GG, man. And I'll be back tomorrow, man, around the same time. A little bit earlier, probably tomorrow. But, you know, it's always a blessing, man. Always good to have conversations with y'all, man. Till the next time, holla at you.